We read in this week's Parsha, Parshas Nasso, after the Torah mentions the Birchos Kohanim, the three blessings that are given by the Kohen to the Tzibur. The Torah speaks about Vahi Bayom Kalos Moshe Lahokim Es HaMishkan. It was on the day that Moshe completed erecting the Mishkan. Vayimshach Oso, he anointed it. Vayikadish Oso, and he sanctified it. Veskol Kelov, all its vessels, Ves HaMizbeach, the altar, Veskol Kelov, and its vessels. Vayimshochem, he anointed them. Vayikadish Osam. So in what state did he anoint the Mishkan? It was in a constructed state. It wasn't the various components, parts, but rather after he erected it, it stood as a structure. That's when he anointed it and he sanctified it. So over here Rashi cites the Chazal, the Midrash, V'hi biyom kalos Moshe lahokim. It's when he finished completing to erect it. Lo nema biyom hokim. It doesn't say on the day that he erected it. Mlamed shkol shivi me'amiluim. So we learn from here that all the 7 days of inauguration, Moshe ma'amidu mefarko, every day he would erect it and he would dismantle it. U'ba'osa yom, on the 8th day, hamido v'lo perko. On the 8th day he erected it and he did not dismantle it. Kach nemar, therefore the Torah says biyom kalos Moshe. When he, regarding all the erecting and dismantling, this is when he finished erecting it. Osiyom kulo kolu hakamosav. He completed the multiple times that he erected it. Rosh Chodesh Nisan Oyo. This was Rosh Chodesh Nisan. So this is Yom Kalos Vayihi. Very interesting. So firstly over here, there's an interesting Balaturim that we find the Samach LeMishkan, he says, Kadesh lo tishbad ayna rabbim lachton, lekach birchem tchilo. We have to be concerned about the evil eye. We'll see this much more from the Midrash. First, the Torah speaks about the Birchos Kohanim, the 3 blessings that the Kohanim give us. What is the value of that? Kadesh lo tishbad ayna rabbim lachton, lekach birchem tchilo, v'somach lemishkan, shebeschus hamishkan yeh shalom. That he introduces the Birchos Kohanim. The Birchos Kohanim conclude with Shalom. Yisa Hashem ponav elecha v'yosem lo shalom. He will give you peace. Chen David in Tehillim, Somach Hashem yivorach esamo v'shalom. That is chapter 29. And the next chapter, which is chapter 30, is juxtaposed Mizmashir Chanukas Habayis. So just as over here we find it concludes with Shalom, the Birchos Kohanim, the blessings of the Kohanim, and then it speaks about the building of the Mishkan, or the completion and the permanence of the Mishkan, so to David, he concludes the 29th chapter, Hashem Yivorach Zamo Vashalom, Mizmashir Chanukas Habayis LeDavid. That's Mizrashir Chanukas. That's the inauguration of the Beis HaMikdash. Beis HaMikdash, the temple that was built by King Solomon, his son. Shebeschus HaMishkan yeh shalom. But it's not simple to have peace. You have to have blessing to have peace. The blessing wards off the evil eye. The Midrash tells us, Vayhi biyom kalos Moshe. I mean, The Pasuk could have said, Biyom Kalos Moshe. What's Vayihi? And it was. What's the Va? Vayihi Biyom Kalos Moshe. Vayihoye L'malchei Ashoris Biyom Kalos Moshe. It was woe to the angels the day that Moshe completed erecting the Mishkan. Why was it woe to them? Omru, the angel said, Ato Yosish Chinosem Etzleinu Umashek Kvodo L'matim Bonov. Where's God's presence in heaven? Now God will remove his presence from heaven, and his presence will dwell among his children. So it's woe to us. God will abandon us. He's abandoning us. God says to the angels, you don't have to be concerned. My divine presence is continuously with you above. Shenemar, as it says in Tehillim, allow your splendor to be in heaven, meaning God's presence. It was a consolation which was vain. It wasn't a true consolation. Kaviyochel, Adraba, to the contrary. When the Mishkan was completed on the 8th day, which we find that the divine presence entered into the Mishkan, the primary location of the divine presence is on the terrestrial level. Shenemar. Again, Pasuk in Tehillim, say it every day. Hodo al eretz vishamoyim. His splendor is on earth. Tchila v'hadar al shamayim. It's first on earth and then it's in heaven. So where's the primary Shekhinah? The primary location of divine presence is al eretz vishamoyim. The secondary location is what? Is heaven. So it's true, he said to them. The Malachim had believed God is abandoning them totally. He says, you have nothing to be concerned. As you originally said, allow your splendor to be in heaven. It will remain there. But they believed the primary, because they are not able to discern between one and the other. But the primary, David says, the primary location is the terrestrial level. Hodo al eretz vishamoyim. You know, the Ramah, Shulchan Aruch, regarding the laws of Kedusha, when we say Kadosh, 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 holy, 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 Hashem Tzvados, Lo Chol Haaretz Kavodo, the world in its entirety is filled with his glory. The Ramah, Ramosha Isalis, in his glosses, in the Code of Law says, every time we say Kadosh, we lift ourselves slightly. So for each Kadosh we lift. What is the significance of the lifting? What does it connote? So Rav Chaim Volozhiner, in his work Nefesh Chaim, writes that he cites Chazal, that we know that every day the Malachim, the angels in heaven, say Kedusha. But the angels in heaven are not permitted to say Kedusha before Klal Yisrael, before the Jewish people say Kedusha. First we say Kedusha, after we say Kedusha, then they say Kedusha. So when we lift ourselves, it's to indicate now, after we've distinguished Hashem to be Kodosh, 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 3 levels of Kedusha, in heaven, on earth, and forever, now the angels are permitted to acknowledge God for what he is, based on their understanding, which everything is within limitation. So that's the lifting. If the Shekhinah, the primary Shekhinah, divine presence, is on earth, it's among us. So therefore, that's the primary location. They're the secondary location. So where do you acknowledge God's presence first? In the primary location. That's al eretz, hodo al eretz, vishamoyim. The secondary, so after we say kadosh, 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 but what does it indicate? What is vahi biyom kalos mishkan, Moshe esa mishkan? What does it mean, the primary locations on earth? What did the angels say? Ato yosish chinosim etzleinu mashik kvodo l'mati in bonov. Where does a father want to be? He wants to be with his children. With his children. Angels are not his children. They're his creation. Why are we his bonim? Why are we his children? Because Yaakov and the Avos HaKadoshim and Klal Yisrael, they chose to follow a certain path which were the only ones from the beginning of existence. Therefore, God chose them to be his children. B'ni b'chori Yisrael, you, my son, my firstborn. That is the distinction God gives us. As the firstborn is the most beloved to a parent, that is Klal Yisrael. It's B'ni b'chori Yisrael. You're my b'chor, you're my firstborn. So where's the Shekhinah? Where is a father's location? With his children. So therefore, the primary location, Hodo al Eretz. The secondary location is V'shamoyim. That's in heaven. That's where God is. I was thinking that, we say in the Amidah, the Shmon Esrei, which was authored by the Anshe Knesset Hagdolah, we say in the opening bracha, we say, Elokeinu ve'Elokei Avoseinu. You are our God and the God of our forefathers. Elokei Avram, Elokei Yitzchok, Elokei Yaakov. So they ask a question. It should say, Elokei Avram, Yitzchok, Yaakov. What do we repeat? By each one of the Avos HaKadoshim, every one of the holy patriarchs, the God of Avram, and repeat it again, the God of Yitzchok and the God of Yaakov. And where do we see this identification? We see this when Hashem presents himself to Moshe Rabbeinu. How does he present himself? I am Elokei Avram, I am Elokei Yitzchok, Elokei Yaakov. It's not something which the men of the High Assembly, the Anshe Knesset Hagdolah, they came up with this appellation or this identification, Elokei Avram, Elokei Yitzchok. God himself, when he introduces himself and he reveals himself to Moshe Rabbeinu, I am Elokei Avram, Elokei Yitzchok, Elokei Yaakov. Why does he have to mention Elokei each time he says, I'm the God of? So the explanation which is given, that each one of the Avos HaKadoshim, each one of the patriarchs, they emulated another attribute of God. Avram emulated the attribute of Chesed. Yitzchok emulated the attribute of what? Of exactness, perfection. That's Midas Adin. And Yaakov was Midas HaRachmim. He synthesized both these attributes. It's Midas HaRachmim. Therefore, each of them, the way they served God, as if they identified God in another context, displaying another characteristic of Hashem. So Avram was Elokei Avram. Yitzchok displayed another aspect of Hashem. Yitzchok, that's Gvura, Din, exactness, precision. Yaakov, he displayed another aspect of God, an attribute. Rachmim, this is Tiferes. That's why Elokei is mentioned 3 times. But factually, each one of the Avos HaKadoshim, as Chazal tell us, were the location of the divine presence in existence. As the Chazal tell us, before the Mishkan was built, where was the location of the Shekhinah? So the Medrash tells us, Hein Hein and Merkava. They were the chariot. They were the location of the Shekhinah. Where Avram was, that's where the divine presence was. Where Yitzchak was, that's where the divine presence was. Where Yaakov was, that's where the divine presence was. After the 3 Avos HaKadoshim, patriarchs, passed on, where was the divine presence? It was in the Mishkan. And that became a temporary location until finally, Lo bosem arata el nachle vel hamenucha. Gemara tells us that Mishkan Shiloh, which was destroyed after a number of 100 years, is referred to as Nachlo. What's the Menucha? The ultimate location? That's the Beis HaMikdash. The Beis HaMikdash is the final location, resting place of the divine presence. That's God's location on earth, where his residence, his primary location is. That's the Menucha. Shiloh was Nachlo. The Beis HaMikdash was Menucha. Prior to that, it was the Mishkan in the desert when it was built. That was and that's Vai. When we say Elokei Avram, Elokei Yitzchok Yaakov, Avram was the location. It was Elokei. Where was God's presence? He was by Yaakov, by Avram. And after Avram, where was he? He was by Yitzchok. Why? Because each one emulated and reflected his profile. Therefore, God identified with them. That is my location. He displays my chesed. He displays my din. He displays my rachmin, my tiferes. Therefore, that is my location. When we say Elokeinu, He is our God. What does it mean He is our God? In what way is He our God? Hashem is the God of the world. Right? He's not only ours, but in terms of the personalization, He's ours. Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu. He's Elokeinu. The non-Jew doesn't say Elokeinu. He's not although He is the master, He is the creator, and He dictates every aspect of anything that exists, including, besides the Jew, the Gentile, the angel, heaven, celestial, whatever it may be, but He's Elokeinu. What's Elokeinu? In terms of personalization. Now, Elokeinu ve'Elokei Avoseinu. When we say Elokei Avoseinu, what does it mean? He was the God of our avos. That was His location. He dwelt where they were. He's Elokeinu. Where does He dwell? He dwells amongst us. He shochem betoch b'nei Yisrael even b'tumosam. Even when we're in a contaminated state, God and us, we're intertwined to a point we cannot be separated. Yisrael v'oraisav kuchibrichu chatu, as the Zohar says. Yisrael, the Jewish people, v'oraisa, and the Torah, v'kuchibrichu, and God Himself is chad. It's one entity. We're inextricable. We cannot be separated. As the Avos HaKadoshim, God's location was there and could not be separated from there. Identically, God cannot be removed from us. God dwells within us. So why is Elokeinu? Hashem is Elokeinu ve'Elokei Avoseinu. He's Elokeinu because He's Elokei Avoseinu. Because He was the God of our forefathers. And what was the level of relationship? Where was His location? His primary location was where they were. Therefore, it's Elokeinu. Therefore, where is His primary location? It's where we are. Where we are, we're Klal Yisrael. That's His primary location. Vayibiyom Kalos Moshe. On the day that Moshe completed the erection of the Mishkan, Maksiv Lamalo Mininin. What does it say prior to this? V'recha Hashem v'yishmerecha. God should bless you and protect you. Omer Rabbi Yeshua the Sichlin. Moshe Lamelech, it is analogous to King Shekidesh. V'osa Levite Kedushin. It's analogous to a king who marries off his daughter. V'sholta b'ayin hara. And someone had given her the evil eye. The daughter, the beloved daughter of the king. Omer lahase bito ma'oso. So when it came to actually the wedding, what did he do? Noslo kameyo v'omalo. He made for an amulet, that you should wear this amulet. You must wear this amulet, that you should not be susceptible to the evil eye. The Torah was given in a public setting. The whole world was aware that the Torah was given to us. So what happened? The nations of the world, they gave us the evil eye. Even though this is referring to Klal Yisrael. At that point, it was only Kedushin. It was the betrothal. Go to the people, you must sanctify them. So this stage, this is Kedushin. This is betrothal. At that point, because it was in a public setting, there was Ayin Hara. We were susceptible to the evil eye. And because of that, there was the golden calf, and the luchos had to be smashed, the first set of luchos. Shneimar, kasher korav el hamachna v'yaras ha'egel u'mecholos. When he came close to the camp, he saw the calf and all the celebration. Vayichar af Moshe. Moshe became enraged. Vayashlich miyodo es haluchos. Vayishaber osem tachas sahor. So why were the luchos destroyed, broken? Because ayin hara. Because it was given in a public setting. Kevan shebov oslo had mishkan. So when they came to build the Mishkan, where again the Shechina was being reinstated, he first gave him a blessing. That the ayin hara, the evil law, shall not affect them. I'm blessing you that this is your protection. And after the blessing, then Moshe erects the Mishkan. So prior to the Shechina entering into our midst, he gave us this amulet to protect us, which is Birchas Kohanim. V'rach Hashem yishmerecha. We find, I once said this in the past, that after we were attacked by Amalek, HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, this was after Kriyas Yamsuf, after the splitting of the sea, God says that my throne is not complete until Amalek is obliterated mitach hashamayim, under the heaven. Ki al case ko. Case, the aleph of kisei, is deleted. My throne is not complete. Until you obliterate Amalek from under the heaven. So Rashi explains, cites the Medrash. What did Amalek do? After the splitting of the sea, and the sea closes on the mightiest armies of the world and destroys the Egyptians, the world stands in awe. They tremble in the presence or even the thought of the Jewish people, of Klal Yisrael, because they see what we mean to God. Shamu am Yirgozun. They're overwhelmed with the awe of the Jew. What happens? We're attacked by Amalek, a wandering, nomad people. They attack us. So the Medrash says, and Rashi cites this, what is it analogous to? You have a scalding bath, and everyone's afraid to approach the bath because they're going to get burnt with the hot water. And the fool goes, this demented person, he jumps into the scalding bath, and he gets burnt. But what happens after he gets burnt? He cools the bath down for everyone else. The level of reverence and esteem, and the word is not to be described, the way the world saw the Jewish people. This is the Am Hashem. We were princes. What happened after they attacked us? What was the message to the world? There's nothing to be to revere. There's nothing to be afraid of. They're no different than we are. And that was the message. So therefore, the aura, the Kiddush Hashem that existed at that point, that everyone would have wanted to emulate the Jewish people, which ultimately would have brought Voy Hashem l'melech al kol oretz. All humanity would have come to recognize this one God. Who undermined that? Amalek, because they attacked us. So therefore, ki al keis ko, timcha Amalek mitach hashamayim. My throne is not complete. Why is it not complete? If that aura wouldn't have been removed, it would have been complete. The world would have come to Voy Hashem l'melech al kol oretz. But why didn't it? Because Amalek attacked you. They were the ones who cooled the bath down for the world. That aura no longer exists. That reverence is no longer there. Therefore, they're not emulating us. They're not impressed any longer. As a result of that, therefore, they have to be obliterated. Because the only reason why my throne is not complete is due to Amalek, to their attack. Now, the Gemara tells us in Avodah Zorah that at the time of Kabbalah Torah, when God gave Torah to Sinai, to us, at that point, it was Poskazu Moson, that the evil of what happened in the Garden of Eden as a result of the snake and the fruit of the tree of knowledge, the Eitz Hadas, all that was vaporized to the point that we reverted to pre-sin. And if not for the Chet Egel, the Jewish people would have been eternal. They were no longer subject to death, as initially was the intent of creation. When did we fall back to that lower level? As a result of the Chet Egel, we reverted back to post-sin. Although the impurity of the snake was vaporized, but the evil of the Eitz Hadas, that returned to us. And because of that evil of that fruit, therefore we're subject to death. Okay? Now, why did we sin with the Eitz Hadas, with the Egel, with the golden calves? It says here that since the Torah was given in a public setting, we were subject to the evil eye. And because of the evil eye, when Moshe returned, he saw the Egel, he saw the celebration, he smashed the Luchos, and that's when the Shekhinah ascended, detached itself from us. When was it reinstated? With the building of the Mishkan. He gave us the Birchos Kohanim, the Yishmerecha, to protect us from that evil eye. Now let's understand. If there wouldn't have been the evil eye, we would have retained that special level. The world would have achieved its level of perfection. So there's a famous word from the Ibn Ezra. The Ibn Ezra says, we find that one of the Aseret Dibros, which we just read on Shavuos, is Lo Sachmod. Lo Sachmod, Eishes Reyecho. You should have designs on the wife of your friend, on his possessions. So the obvious question is, when a person has envy, how do you control it? You say, don't steal, you're able to suppress that urge or that interest in stealing. Anything you can control. But feelings, if you have envy, you have envy. You have designs. What's lo sachmon eishes reyecho, or chamor reyecho, his donkey, whatever it is, his possessions. How do you control it? So he goes to explain, he says, what does a person envy and have designs on? Something that he feels it should be his. If the other person has a right to it, why shouldn't the other individual have a right to it? So he explains it with an allegory, with a moshel. He says, if you have a bas melech, a prince, and a princess, the woman who's available to the prince, who's the princess, she may be beautiful, she may be poised, she's refined, she has exceptional qualities and characteristics. The commoner, is he envious of the prince because the princess is only available to him? The answer is definitely not. Because he understands royalty has relevance to royalty. Because he's a commoner, it's something which is beyond his reach. He has no relevance to that. As a result of that, what happens? He's not envied. There's no envy. He says, does a human being envy a bird that the bird could fly and he's not able to fly? Because the person understands a bird is a different entity, a different species. The human has no relevance to that species. There's not even the consideration you'd be able to fly. So because it's not even to be considered you have any relevance to flying, a person doesn't envy the bird that the bird could fly. If a person would only understand that whatever is meant to be his is rightfully his, and what he's not endowed with is not to be his, you wouldn't envy your fellow. You only envy because you believe what your fellow has, you're entitled to that. If he has it, why shouldn't you have it? But rather than understanding that everybody only has what God endows that individual with it. So therefore, it's each person similar to the prince and the commoner. You have no relevance to what the other person has. And if a person would understand that and internalize it, there's no basis for envy. What's yours is yours, and what's mine is mine. It has no relevance to you. It's only because you believe it's within your reach. Therefore, there's a basis for envy. And that's lo sachmod. Now, there's a midrash. The midrash tells us, a Yalkut, that when Hashem gave the Torah to Klal Yisrael, to the Jewish people, it had to do with last week's readings. The midrash, it says that when we were counted, it says, Vayisyaldu al mishpachosam. We had to bring our documents of pedigree. And as a result of bringing our doctrine and pedigree, it's based on the paternal line, we were able to be identified per tribe, how many members were contained, how many people was the tribe comprised of, based on the paternal line. But we had to bring Visaldo al Mishposim. They had to bring Sefer Yechuseim. These were documents of pedigree. So the Medrash says, on those words, at the time of Kabbalah Torah, when God gave the Torah at Sinai, the nations of the world came and said, what about us? Why are you favoring the Jewish people? Why are you giving them the Torah? Why don't you give us the Torah? So he says, Hashem says to the nations of the world, are you able to prove the purity of your pedigree? Can you prove your pedigree? So they said, no. He says, we all come from incestuous, adulterous relationships. We don't have the purity. He says, well, my children, they are pure. They have a pedigree. When they heard it, they were amazed. They were astounded. They stood up and they extolled him. They were amazed and they understood. Now we understand why Klal Yisrael are deserving of Torah, not us. But until God explained it to them, they felt that somehow they were put out. They were ignored. Why are you giving the Jews? Why not us? Now, why did they see the Jews, put the Jews on the same level as they were? It seemed the Jews are on a pedestal. After Kriyas Yamsuf, they're on a pedestal. What do you even consider what they receive, we should receive? This is the prince, you're the commoner. So what was the basis for the Ayin Hara? The basis for the evil eye was because we were attacked after Kriyas Yamsuf. Because we were attacked after Kriyas Yamsuf, after the splitting of the sea. What was the message Amalek was telling the world? They are no different than we are. They are not princely. They are not royalty. We're all on the same level. All men are created equal. If that's the case, God, why are you giving the Torah to the Jewish people? Why are you favoring them? So what was the basis for the Chet Egel? Why did we revert back to post-sin? Because the evil eye. Who was the cause of that evil eye? Who was the cause of that perception that we should be seen as ordinary, as common as everyone else? That's Amalek. If the evil eye wouldn't have happened, what level would have the world reached at that moment? It would have reached a level of perfection. The Jewish people were not subject to death. The Gemara quotes a pasuk, a verse, Yibnei Kel Chai. You're the children of what? Of Kel Chai. You're God's children. God is eternal, you're eternal. You're not subject to death. But what happened? But the moment they saw us receiving the Torah, they had a very serious question. What about us? What do you mean, what about us? How do you compare yourself? These are B'nai Malachim. They're princes. But we saw after splitting of the sea, there's no difference in us and them. So who was the cause? The world would have reached its level of perfection. Ki al keiskar, not because we would have been the model, but rather because we were B'nai Kel Chai. We were there already. To undermine that. What was the cause of the Ayin Hara? The cause of the evil eye was the attack from Amalek that brought us to an ordinary level. And that's exactly what it says. So therefore, when the Mishkan was built, V'asili Migdosh, V'shachanti B'socham, we find the Mishkan is referred to as Mishkan HaEdus. It's the Mishkan of testimony, of testament. Why is it Mishkan of Edus? So Rashi cites the Medrash. From here, Mikan, She Nimchal Chet Egel. She Mochal HaKadosh Baruch Hu Yisrael Chet Egel. God forgave the Jewish people on the Chet Egel. How did He forgive us on the Chet Egel? Because the nations of the world were saying, you have no relation with God. So what did the Mishkan say? The Mishkan says, we do have a relation with God. V'asli Migdash B'shachanti B'sochim, I will dwell in your midst. But we have a problem again. We have a problem with the Ayin Hara. So if it's Eidos Umas Olam, Shemochla Kodesh Baruch Achet Egel, if it's a testament to the world, the Mishkan that we were forgiven for Chet Egel, we have the old problem again. We're subject to the Ayin Hara. That's why the Torah predicates the building of the Mishkan on Birchas Kohanim. V'yishmerecho. This is the kameya. This is the amulet. God gave us an amulet. V'yishmerecho. The Birchas Kohanim guarantees the protection from the Ayin Hara. And where was the main Birchas Kohanim? The Birchas Kohanim, where did they bless Klal Yisrael? Was it in the Mishkan, in the base? And when they said the Birchas Kohanim, the Beis HaMikdash, what appellation did they use for the Shem Hashem? It was the Shem HaMeforish. It wasn't what they say, it was the full pronunciation of the name of Hashem. It wasn't the way we pronounce it today. It wasn't just Adni. It was the full pronunciation. That is the true Kameya. Within the context of Shechina, you need that level of Shmira, you need that level of protection. But that's the reason why it's juxtaposed one to the other, because the only reason why we're able to maintain that relationship is because of that. It's interesting. What is the bone of contention which Klal Yisrael has with Christianity? Islam, Yamach Shema B'Zichron, it's a whole different issue with the Arabs. Yishmael, these are the descendants of Yishmael, it's a whole different issue. They say, if you're not one of us, you have to be destroyed. The question is, the Lahavdil Elef Havdolos, differentiate between holy and profane, endless times over, infinite times over. The Christians, they refer to what they believe in as the New Testament. They refer to it in Hebrew as Bris Chadasha. It's the new covenant. What happened? They all agree. Initially, who are the chosen people of God? The Jewish people. But after the destruction of Beis HaMikdash, we were disenfranchised. The only way you could be reinstated, chas v'sholom, you have to believe in what they believe in. You believe in what they believe in, then you're reinstated. Otherwise, you're doomed to go into Gehenna forever. You're worse than the devil, unless you accept their belief. So what's the bone of contention? Who's the chosen? Are we the chosen or are they the chosen? Without their belief, you can't be chosen. They are the new chosen. The Christians are the chosen. What do you think? The Pope wears vestments, and his vestments resemble the vestments of the high priest, because he's the high priest, and he's called a priest. I mean, L'havdil Elef Havdolos, the Kohen is called Kohen. He's the high priest. That's why they're called priests, the priests of whatever they are. That's the priest. But what is the bone of contention? It's interesting. So how does the Gentile look upon the Jew? You're nothing. Subhuman, relatively speaking. That's what the Jew is. The Jew is not deserving of any rights. No property rights, no ownership rights. Unless you accept what we are, you're non-existent. So does the Christian, does he envy us? Ayin hara, let's talk about ayin hara. There's no ayin hara. It's a bracha. It's a blessing. It's a blessing. The problem with the Gentile, what gets the ire of the Gentile? When the Jew has and they don't have. That gets their ire. That means they say, you stole from us. But that's not ayin hara. They feel we are the only way we could see we had to take from them, because in our own right we're not deserving. So it's not envy in terms of it's rightfully ours. Why do you have? Why don't we have? No, what you have, you took from us. That's anti-Semitism. Every dollar you make, you took a dollar away from us. You denied us. But that's not ayin hara. That's what it is. But with the Mishkan, Sinai, Kadosh Baruch Hu gives the Torah to us. No ifs and buts. We are B'nai B'chorei Yisrael. Why don't you offer it to us? Why them? That's ayin hara. But who caused that ayin hara? Why aren't we appreciated that we are truly B'nai Malachim? That's Amalek. Amalek caused that. Therefore, as a result of that, why did the giving of Torah not bring the world to its level of perfection? Because Kial Keis Koch. The reason why Mekisi was not immediately complete was because of that attack. Because of the attack of the Amalek, ultimately, the Kabbalah Satorah, the Luchas Rishonos, the first tablets, are going to be smashed, and that's going to cause us to revert back to post-sin of Adam Rishon. We're no longer considered B'nei Kel Chai. There's a midrash, we have in Tehillim, it's called Halel HaGodol. We say it every Shabbos, every Yom Tif. Kilo Lom Chazdo. David said, Hodol Hashem Kidov Kilom Chazdo. In the 26 times, he says, forever is his chesed. Kilom Chazdo. Why the 26? Kilom Chazdo. Forever is his kindness. Shanu Rabboseinu. Al Shlosha Dvar Ma'ulam Omed. The world stands on three principles. Al Torah, Al Vod, Al Gemilas Chasodim. At Motza, you find Esem V'Shisha Dorish and Mishnivra Olam Achnit Torah. 26 generations from the time the world was created till Sinai, the 26 generations when the Torah was given. V'Hoya HaKadosh Baruch Hu Manig Osan B'Chesed. If the objective of creation is the study of the Torah, until Sinai there was no Torah. Even Avram, who studied the Torah, what was it? He was not commanded. He wasn't obligated to study Torah. It was his prerogative. He chose to study Torah and to keep and observe the mitzvos. So the first 26 generations of existence, God willed existence within the context of Chesed. And to reveal this, to correspond to those 26 generations, therefore, David repeated 26 times, After the splitting of the sea, when he sang the Ozyosha, he alluded to the 26 generations of Chesed that Hashem bestowed upon the world. Shomar Amzu Shnei Pomim. He said in the Ozyosha, he says, Amzu Kaniso, Shnema Nochiso B'chazdecho, Amzu Go'olta. You led them with your Chesed, this nation you redeemed. Uchsiv, then it says, Ad Yavar Amzu Kanisa. Then it says again, Amzu Kanisa. You've acquired this nation. Elu Esem Shishador Shoy Mishniver Olam Achnin Torah. So to tell us, even at this moment, at the time of Gula, redemption from Egypt, we're part of that Chesed, because we still haven't arrived at Sinai. Why do we exist? It's purely Chesed Hashem. Nihaltu Ba'oscho. You've led them with your power. Zutorah Shnikras Oz. Shenemar Hashem Oz Lamo Yitain. What was Sinai? God gave us His power. At that moment, what was the world analogous to? The Traskul Shnei Raglayim. You have a basket which only has two legs. What happens if a basket has two legs? It actually falls to one side. Sheniocha Lamot. It's not able to stand. Once the Mishkan was erected and took on that permanent status, the world stood vinispasim, and it was secured. Shenemar, when Moshe completed to erect the Mishkan, it does say Vayikalos Moshe L'hokem Mishkan. It says Ha-Mishkan. What's the Mishkan? El Es Ha-Mishkan. The Rabbos is B'yus Olam. When the Mishkan was established, this secured the Ha, that secured existence. Shekosu Es HaShamayim Ve'es Ha'aretz. It was Ha-Mishkan, it's Ha'aretz. Because of the Chet of Adam Rishon, the sin of Adam, the world was unstable. Sinai, it says the world faltered and quaked. It wasn't secure. So what happened? We said, Nasso v'Nishma, the world took on a permanent, but we actually weakened it with the Chet HaEgel. So what secured it for once and forever? That's Ha-Mishkan. The Mishkan was the third leg. Because again, what is the meaning of this? What was the intent of creation? Where should the divine presence be? On the terrestrial level, not in heaven. With his children. Until the Mishkan, where was the Shekhinah? In heaven. Sinai, heaven came to earth. What happened after Chet Egel? Again, it ascended. What brought it into to on a permanent level in this existence? That was Ha-Mishkan. As it says, Eitzer Shemai Beis Ha'aretz. What was the location, the primary location of God's presence? Ha'aretz. As a result of that, the Mishkan is the third leg. That's Torah, Avodah, and Gemilas Chasodim. There's Torah, but it's interesting now. So what's the Avodah? Of course you need Torah, but you need Avodah. Avodah, you serve God. Where is God? Of course, He's Elokei Shamayim, but He's Elokei Oretz. Until Avram Avinu, he was Elokei Shamayim. Because Avram was Heinein Emerkova. He himself was the location of divine presence. He brought God to earth, onto the terrestrial level, which was the original intent of creation. But Avram is only a temporary state. Because once Avram passes on to Yitzchak, passes on to Yaakov, what happens after Yaakov? Again, it has no location. Sinai was supposed to be the permanent location, which was Klal Yisrael. But we failed. Now we need a medium. What's the medium? Mostly Mishkan, Mishachanti Betocham. The medium is the Beis HaMikdash. And that's why the Mishkan, every Jew had to contribute. Every Jew contributed to the Mishkan. Why did every Jew have to contribute it? Because every Jew had to contribute because that was the medium for every Jew to have a relationship with God. Therefore, every Jew had to contribute the material for the building of that Mishkan for that reason. We read that when Yosef became aware that his father wasn't well, immediately he took Ephraim and Menashe to receive the bracha before he passes away, to bless them. So what happens? So Menashe was the firstborn, was the Bechor. Ephraim was the younger, but Ephraim was the more special of the two. Ephraim studied Torah with his grandfather at a special level. Menashe did not have that same relationship. So what did Yaakov do? Although his vision was impaired at the time, it says he took his right hand, put it on Ephraim's head, and his left hand he put on Menashe's head. And he gave him the bracha. Initially, Yosef didn't realize that. When he saw it, he became upset because he thought his father made a mistake. So he tried to lift his father's hand off Ephraim's head and put it on Menashe's head. Yaakov wouldn't allow his hand to be moved. He says, "I'm not making a mistake." He will also be a great people, but the primary one is Ephraim. So the Medrash says, "Vayar Yosef Yoshis Oviv, vayisvoch Yar Oviv lohoser roso." He tried to remove his hand, to lift his hand to remove it. Omalo. So Yaakov says to Yosef, "Yodi at mevakish lohoser." You mean to say you're trying to remove my hand? You realize Yaakov is 147 years old now. You mean you're trying to lift my hand? Sherofsa l'sara malochim. He says this hand smashed the minister of all angels. The hand that smashed the minister. You think you could lift this hand? You can't lift this hand. Nothing could lift this hand. If I want my hand to be here, my hand is here. The world cannot. Om Reb Yochanan, kishnei amudim shebsoch demusin shebetverio. There were two large structures in Tiberias. He says Yaakov's hand was the equivalent of that. He's 147 years old. He has to be assisted. He has to lean on Binyamin when he walks. But he says, this hand you will not lift. The hand that smashed the angel. Now, how could a mortal smash? He didn't say who smashed the Malach. Who smashed Sarah Malachim. He was one of the archangels. You think you could lift that hand? These were the arms of Yaakov. But how could a mortal defeat an angel? What was Yaakov? Yaakov is the Merkava. Do you know what the Merkava is? If the Shekhinah of the divine presence is with Yaakov, who is Yaakov? Is he a physical being? Of course, his makeup is physical. But what is his dimension? His dimension is totally spiritual. Because if it wouldn't be fully spiritualized, How's that God's location? It's only because he's spiritualized to that degree. So if I've decided that my right hand should be on Ephraim's head, do you think you can remove it? Not possible. Because just as I was able to smash the Sarah Malachim, the archangel, for the same reason, that's why you can't lift my hand. Because this is spiritual. In every sense of the word, the dimension of my hand is spiritual. And therefore, a physical being cannot. Compared to Yaakov, whatever Yosef was, Yosef Hatzadik. But Yosef was not the Merkava. Yosef was not the location of the divine presence. He could not remove his hand under any circumstance. And that's what it is. Klal Yisrael is the Merkava. As I always say, we speak about spiritual excision. You cut off from the Jewish people. The individual is cut off from the Jewish people, from its people. Why? Kores, you're excised from God. As we're saying, where is God's location? Within Klal Yisrael. His location, Klal Yisrael, is the Merkava. We are his location. So therefore, you have to be part of the Klal Yisrael to have a relation with God. What happens if you're excised from the people? Then you have no relation. You have no relation with Hashem. So therefore, God does not have relationships with individuals. It's only if the individual is part of the whole. If you're part of the whole, God has a relation with you. If you're not part of the whole, then you're excised, you're separate, and then you're cut off from God.